Namaste, salam, welcome to our kitchen. My name is Patrick, my beloved wife Jenny, behind the camera here.
Hello.
And we're going to make some masala chai this morning. We love chai around here. In fact, we love it so much that we went to India and Nepal and traveled around for several months, hanging out with chaiwalas, sipping chai, going to tea estates, going to spice gardens and meeting tea potters and making friends with lots of cows, and brought all of that information and photos and beautiful art from Jenny's sketchbook to compile a book that we're working on called Chai Pilgrimage, due out this year in 2012. And you can check some things out at chaipilgrimage.com. Okay, let's make some chai. There's a gazillion different ways to make chai. And we even make it different every single day, depending on, the weather, how we're feeling, what we decide to put in it. But we're going to offer a recipe to you here that you can make at home, and hopefully, if you've never made chai before, this will be the perfect way to learn how to make masala chai. And if you've made it, perhaps you'll learn some nuances that you never knew about, or a way to change or experiment with your own chai. So let's get started here. I've got some water. We're going to do a batch with about 6 cups of water. So it's already a little warm, but I'm going to turn on the fire. And we have some ginger root. Actually, ginger is a rhizome. And this ginger, there's different kinds of ginger. Some kinds of ginger are very yellow, a smaller, kind of drier root. And sometimes you get these gingers that are quite plump and a little pale. The watery, plump, pale ones aren't as strong, but the nice, really yellow ones have a nice bite to them. So the best way to prepare your ginger, you can slice it into thin slices, but a nice way to do it too is just to use a cheese grater and grate it up. You don't need to peel it. You just grind it this way. It gives it a lot of surface area, and you'll get a lot of good flavor out of it and good medicine out of it. Ginger is one of my favorite medicinal herbs. It is my favorite medicinal herb because it's good for so many things. It's a warming spice, so it's good for, colds, flus, sinus congestion, digestion, nausea, great for the lungs. It's an expectorant, burns mucus in the lungs, and it's great for circulation, so it works well with some types of arthritis. Okay. We're going to use for this recipe, about a third of a cup, up to a half a cup. That's a pretty spicy, we'll make a pretty spicy batch of chai, but we really like spicy, gingery chai around here, so we will go with about a third of a cup for starters. I think a third of a cup packed. Generally, I don't measure so much, but for the sake of this recipe, if you're just learning, it's probably a good thing to measure. And then from there, you can just go on and experiment and make chai as you like.
We even carried ginger around in our backpacks in India.
Yeah, in India we always carry ginger because it's such a great medicine. Alright. Our next favorite spice for masala chai is cardamom. Here's some green cardamom pods. Woo! Like that. I'm going to grind this up, but I'm going to put it in a little bit later because the thing about cardamom is it has the medicine, the volatile oils in it, they'll dissipate a lot with boiling. So what we're going to do is grind it up a little bit later and toss it in. But just to say, even if these are the only 2 spices that you used, even if you only use ginger and cardamom, you would make an awesome masala chai. It would be so flavorful and so yummy. In India, sometimes they only use perhaps one spice, like there'll be a ginger chai, or they'll call it adrak chai, which is ginger in Hindi, or adwa chai, or it would be adwa chia, which is ginger chai in Nepali, or an elaichi chai, which is cardamom chai. But the 2 of them together are great. We're going to throw in some different spices just to kind of have the opportunity to talk about some different spices. For example, cinnamon. This is a cinnamon stick. This is a true cinnamon stick, they call it, from Ceylon or from Sri Lanka. I'll break it open so you can check it out. It's soft, it has lots of layers inside of it like that. Here's something that many of us are used to calling ginger, or at least here in North America we call it, or ginger, sorry, cinnamon. But actually it's called cassia bark. It's not the same species as ginger. It's a little bit different. It's hotter, spicier, a bit more pungent, stronger tasting. We really like the true cinnamon, or the Ceylon cinnamon, which has more of a kind of a sweeter taste to it. And I'll use, you know, for this size batch, maybe 1/3 of a stick, 1/2 a stick. And this ginger is much easier just to break up by hand. You don't even really need to use a mortar and pestle. Whereas if you use the cassia bark, then you would really need to smash it because it's quite hard. Okay, next we will add some fennel.
Homegrown fennel.
Oh, cinnamon, by the way, is another warming spice, great for the lungs, great for digestion, and super yummy. The thing about cinnamon is, if you use too much cinnamon, your chai will taste like cinnamon. So don't overdo the cinnamon. And it's best to use the stick instead of the powder. In fact, with all of the spices, it's best to use the wholest, you know, freshest spice you can get. So, for example, using fresh ginger root instead of powdered, using green cardamom pods instead of powdered cardamom. I'm going to backstep a little bit here, Jenny. Or even using this decorticated cardamom, which means that the green shell is off of it, but you just have the seeds. Or using whole fennel instead of fennel powder, whole cinnamon stick. And the reason is prana. Prana is a Hindi word or a Sanskrit word. It means life force or chi. And the prana is what has the nutrition and the medicine in each spice. It's the botanical intelligence in the spice that communicates to your own cellular intelligence, that tells your body how to heal itself. So you want to preserve that prana. You want to get as much prana or life force out of your medicinal masala chai as possible. So we don't use powders. Powders oxidize. They lose a lot of their flavor and potency and medicine. So that being said, we'll come back to fennel. Here's some fennel. We grew this fennel ourselves this summer in our garden. Fennel is such another wonderful spice. It's great. We started using it a lot in our chai after the birth of our daughter Tulsi, because it's a galactagogue, which means it helps promote mother's milk, but it is also great for colic, for gas, flatulence. It's a great digestive. You know, when you go to Indian restaurants and you're walking out of the restaurant and there's some dry roasted fennel seeds there, and those are to eat to help with any gas formation and to help with digestion. You could roast your own pretty easily, or you can just put it in your chai. So we're going to use about a teaspoon for this amount of chai. You can use more, you can use less. We usually use more, actually. And they're pretty soft. You can just toss it in like that, or if you want to open it up a little bit in your mortar and pestle, again, to open the prana, crushing the herbs will bring the prana out, and then simmering in the water will also kind of activate the life force. Okay, next we are going to put, now this spice actually isn't from India, although they grow it in India now. It's allspice, or pimento berries. They grow it in Central South America, they grow it in the Caribbean. This is Jamaican allspice, which is renowned to be the best allspice on the planet, and we like it to add some Rasta vibes into our chai. The reason that they call allspice is because it has the taste of, you know, a lot of different spices: ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, pepper. So you can sometimes even use it as a substitute for some of these other spices. But we just like the flavor. It has a nice earthy kind of flavor. I throw maybe in this batch, depending on how fresh your allspice is, maybe about 5 allspice berries, so it doesn't, you know, dominate the taste. And we'll toss that in there. Some people like to use cloves in their chai. Sometimes we use a little clove in the dead of winter when it's very cold outside. Cloves are very warming, so you know you don't want to use them in the summertime, or if you're a hot-blooded type person. And also, cloves will really dominate a chai. The taste is so strong. If you use too many, you'll have clove chai. So I'm just gonna I'm just going to toss one into the pot, Mahadev, just for a little bit of that clove flavor. Some other things people use, or we sometimes use, you can use black peppercorns and smash them up fresh. Also a very hot spice, so take it easy. The white peppercorns are a little less spicy. You can use star anise. It's very beautiful. We actually don't like it so much in our chai here. It also has a very dominant flavor, so you have to be easy with it. You can use, people use vanilla, people use mint, you can put some tulsi, if you know what that is. It's from the basil family. It's a sacred herb from India. All sorts of things. You can put coriander in your chai. You can put anything in your chai, really. But it's all about the balance of the flavor of the spices.